2021 is an important occasion for us because we're turning 60. And for any independent charity to continue working for so long in support of an industry and of a cultural endeavour is, of course, a great achievement. So it's a very special year. The purpose of the Books Council is to support a publishing industry in Wales across the two languages. And industry is the main focus here. So we're talking about a structure of companies that have the capacity to invest on an ongoing basis in publishing programs. Of course, we receive our grant funding from Welsh Government through Creative Wales, and we are part of the creative industries. That, of course, also drives our priorities, that we look very carefully about priorities of government and how they want that money invested. That enables us to also be an advocate. When any organisation talks to government, we can make the case. We can make the case for an industry that needs support. We can make the case for books, for reading. The drivers for support, the reasons for support in the two languages are completely different. So the Welsh language is pretty self-explanatory. It's a very small market. It can't be sustained by commercial means, so that's where the intervention happens.
A minority language does actually manage to have crime books, factual books, cookery books, books for nursery age, for teens, the whole gamut of stuff. So I think that is just nothing short of being remarkable. As you progress and build a career as a writer, it's impossible to do that if you're writing books in Welsh without having some sort of grant aid.
Books Council is crucial for supporting English language writing in Wales. The kind of cultural industry relies on having multiple publishers, multiple magazines, journals. There's a strong likelihood that without Books Council, Anglo-American books would kind of take over the whole English language book landscape. We need Welsh voices so that we see ourselves on bookshelves, we see ourselves in contemporary writing.
I write poetry for children and I write poetry for adults as well. Poetry is lived and imagined moments and remembered moments, so it's really just a reflection of our lives. I'm from the Welsh Valleys, I'm mixed race, I have a dual heritage, I'm Welsh Caribbean if you like. People who look like me, I hope that they can feel seen when they see me doing what I do as an author and as a writer. And it can open up a space for black writers or anyone who feels like they're a minority anyway. Prior to becoming an author, I would visit schools and I didn't actually have anything tactile, anything to show the children. So I feel like a sense of professionalism and obviously accomplishment as well. You see the book, it's yours, you can go into a bookshop and it feels really special. I'm not sure if that'll ever not feel special. I feel really proud when I see the book.
Projects like the Library of Wales, which is 50 books of English literature about Wales, written primarily in the 20th century. These books had gone out of print, were not really available to the general reader. And I think if you haven't got your literary culture, you haven't got youngsters or anybody reading about where you're from, you lose your history and you lose your sense of place very quickly. A crucial thing for publishing in Wales was devolution, and that has focused the attention of Welsh culture from a political framework and it provided support to the Books Council to expand and professionalise the Welsh publishing industry.
We really wanted to pay people well, and that's where Books Council came in. Books Council funding allowed us to start paying our contributors, paying artists well, really fostering, nurturing their craft.
Our name is Books Council of Wales, but we do much more than books. So we also support magazines, and of course magazines play an important role in reading a wider readership. There's some people who just are not that interested in reading books, but they will read magazine. It's content dissemination. And of course, most of the magazines we now support on the English side also have a digital presence. Obviously, ebooks are something that everybody by now is very familiar with. I enjoy them, especially when I'm on holiday. And so we've developed a new fully bilingual platform to ensure that ebooks, especially in the Welsh language, but all ebooks from Wales that exist can be found. Our platform is different because it loops in independent bookshops. So it's what I call guilt-free ebook shopping.
Publishing is great fun. You meet all sorts of interesting, fascinating people. 25 years ago I was playing rugby for Pontypridd and I'd written a book called Work, Sex and Rugby. And I couldn't find anyone else to publish it, so I set up a publishing company with the idea of promoting Welsh writing in English. Often without the support of the Welsh Government, you wouldn't have the development of writers' careers. People like Rachel Davies, Conan Jones, Tristan Hughes, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to get into their work into print and their ideas across in the culture.
Most of our publishers are micro enterprises, are SMEs, and jobs are difficult to maintain in a small margin business such as ours. So we support jobs.
My background was in the banking industry, and my husband and I were learning Welsh, and we couldn't find any books that we were familiar with in Welsh language at the time. And we just thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could read Terry Pratchett or Roald Dahl, or stories that we were familiar with that perhaps wouldn't be quite so daunting. And we started off as a hobby, and because of the new technology, we didn't need to have a huge factory or a print press. We didn't have to have huge capital investment at all. I could just set up in my kitchen with my laptop and just go from there. And the Books Council were really instrumental in helping me. As the business has grown, I've taken on new people, and many of them haven't worked in publishing before. So it's really important that we do lots of training. Now, I can do some of it, but we need other experts to come in. And the Books Council are great because they run CPD events to teach us and to train all of our team.
My name may be on the cover of a book, but I'm part of a process. So when I finish the book, I send it off to an editor. I've been lucky. I've had usually benign editors who say, that doesn't work. And when they point it out, I realise that's the case.
As an editor in Wales, you have the opportunity to give writers the best chance of having their work read and of being the best quality that it can be.
Then you'll have copy editors, proofreaders. There's a small, clever design industry now, which actually makes the books look fabulous. You write these things and you want them to go out in the world in their best clothes, yeah, looking proud.
Looking at our international work, the Books Council have been very important in providing opportunities for Welsh publishers and ourselves to attend things like the Frankfurt Book Fair, the Bologna Book Fair and London, and to get Welsh culture, to export it, but also to bring work in from other cultures into Wales.
Being an independent bookshop, you have quite a close relationship with your customers. It's more than a transactional relationship.
If you ask for a recommendation or they show interest in one particular book and they're not quite sure where they want to go next, you've got to be able to take them down that path and make suggestions and be comfortable having conversations with people about books.
We have quite a curated selection here. It was very important to us to offer books about Wales and based in Wales. We have English language writing in Wales, Welsh language writing in Wales. That's been very important.
We try to be a bit of a cultural hub, and we try to support self-published people who want to write. For example, there's some local guys who are doing a Welsh language fantasy magazine, and we said come here and have this as a hub, as a meeting place, as a launch place.
And it's creating that community then around the books, around the kind of books that we have on the shelf.
We offer a complete service to our booksellers, so they can choose from 11,000 titles that we have in our warehouse, and they can order them as they see fit and when they need them. So it's both efficient in terms of their administrative burden, so they deal with one organization instead of hundreds, but it also, of course, is much greener because we make sure our boxes are really full of books, and then one box goes instead of multiple parcels.
Books are heavy and you need to get them around Wales or around the UK and out to America, and the distribution centre at Aberystwyth has been a great mover of books for us, and it's always somebody you can ring up and say, can I get a box to Chepstow by Tuesday night? And generally they'll be able to do it. That's part of the fun of publishing. You've got to move. Without the books you can't sell anything, and you've got to move them around. It's always a good time to be a publisher, especially if the sun's shining.
The publishing industry has the same difficulties and struggles that most creative industries have in terms of diversity. And when I talk about diversity, I am talking about ethnic backgrounds, I'm talking about disability, I'm talking all the other protected characteristics.
To have diversity in books, you need diversity in publishing. The people behind the scenes also need to be from different backgrounds, appreciate different backgrounds, be commissioning and sourcing work from different kinds of people, not just the people that they know. To attract a wider and more diverse audience, you need books that are written for people who aren't the typical middle-class white reader. I think that's it.
Books. They educate us, they inspire us, and the benefits to mental health, well-being, educational attainment, I think it's all been proven over and over again. That's why I'm hopeful for our industry and for what we can achieve.
To get into publishing, all you need is that supportive network and an interest in books and writing. It's not necessary to be an academic or to have gone to university to enter publishing.
We want to hear our own stories told by our own people. That authenticity is important for any nation.
It's so much more open in Wales for more, for different.